So, guys, welcome back to another big old pile of stuff we got. We have decals, we got kits, we've got accessories. Grab yourself something to drink, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, so we picked up a few things from New Type, which traditionally sells Gundam accessories. It is one of the bigger U.S. vendors for things like Bandai Gundam kits and other Gundam kits, besides those made by Bandai, obviously, and a whole bunch of parts and accessories and tools and all sorts of stuff for that. But like great many things in the hobby, automotive modeling is not some sort of thing unto itself, despite what some people might try to explain to you, and we can actually learn from other genres of the hobby, and we can use their products as well. So we picked up some Gundam markers. Mainly, these are going to be, at least from my personal point of view, used for sort of touching up sort of last minute details, if you will. I only got two of these because they're sort of the colors I feel that you end up realizing you need at the last minute. So this one is, these are missed by Mr. Hobby. So your Mr. Color, Mr. Aqueous. This is the paint markers that they make. Gundam Marker EX. And this one is XGM02, which is just called Silver. As you see here, it's GSI Krios, and then Bandai Spirits is sort of the sub-branding of it. And this is just a silver paint marker. You can see sort of it just started on the very tip there. And this is just going to be like an X11 type of paint. If you're familiar with your Tamiya line, it's sort of a gloss, it's sort of a matte aluminum. It's sort of a little less glossy than the X11 will be, but it's not quite as flat and obnoxious as XF16, the flat aluminum is. Flat aluminum, if you've ever painted with it, you know it has a little bit of a texture to it. Sort of gives a cast aluminum finish when you're done painting with it. So this is just sort of a in between, which I figure also could be good for trim and other things like that. So we got that, and then we also picked up the this Gundam Marker EX, and this is I'm trying to think what the heck the product number is. If I can't even see it on here because the printing on this is so off. Let me pull it off camera real quick. I don't have a number off here. Oh, there it is. XGM1. Oops. If I can get a focus on that instead of the ground. XGM100. And this is a chrome marker. Very similar to a Molotov, but it's got that sort of fine point to it. And you can sort of see on the end there, it is a reflective chromy paint. It has the same problem as Molotov has, at least from a quick experiment with it, in the sense that it's not very durable. Now, I will say that I was rubbing on it in order to try to get it to come off, and it did come off, or at least it dulled down to just a silver. It did seem to be touch okay, in the sense of, like, if you happen to touch it, you wouldn't leave a fingerprint the way you do in Molotov. Molotov is so fragile sometimes that looking at it sideways will sometimes get it to lose its sheen. We also picked up from New Type this particular color gray in the Mr. Color line. This is what is known as Dark Ghost Gray in the FS line. That's a U.S. Air Force color for F-16s, or F-15s rather. And this will be the chassis color you need for the Tamiya Nissan Z. Now, some people will argue that this is the same shade as the actual Tamiya Fine Surface Primer, the gray stuff. It's a little bit of a different shade. It's a little warmer. It's a knick-knack, paddywhack, kind of thing. Do you really care one way or another? I do, so I picked up a pot of it. And then the big old expensive purchase, and really this is almost as expensive as the last thing I'm going to show you here. And this is the Gaia Notes Premium Chrome paint. And this is basically an enamel chrome paint. You do have to paint it over a gloss black base, so it is kind of a all-clad type of thing, but it's a way more forgiving from what I've seen. I haven't actually used it yet. Way more forgiving paint than the actual all-clad is. If anybody knows about all-clad, you have to paint it over like the most perfect gloss black finish ever, and it has to be the right number of coats of it, or else you end up with silver or not quite chrome. This stuff seems to be a little bit more forgiving in that sense. Plus, being an enamel paint, you should be able to coat it with either aqua gloss or I've seen them demonstrating this in the native native YouTube for it, and they were coating it with Tamiya enamel gloss, which is something we can't actually get here in the United States unless you special order it from overseas, because the Tamiya enamel paint line doesn't exist here because of not licensing, but labeling and all that sort of stuff. This is very expensive. This is almost $40 for this little jar of paint. It's 30 mils. So yeah, it's quite something, but it seems to be maybe the solution to a lot of problems. We'll see. We'll test that out eventually. And then the last thing picked up from the guys over at New Type was this. This is the Display Circle Cutter. For anybody who has a Display Circle Cutter, you don't need to go run out and buy a new one. There's nothing really different about this one, other than the fact that it's much, much larger than the previous version. It has this base, big anodized base to it now. A lot of people who are familiar with your Circle Cutter, it was just the sort of center part, the round part in here, in a slightly bigger frame. This has, like I said, this much larger surface area to it. If I can get it to come out of here without breaking it. You know, it's a much larger piece now. Comes with these sort of self-adhesive things you stick on the back here to make it not skid. And then you have your three blades, for lack of a better term, on a 30, 45, and 60 degree angle. This is really a tool of 1,000 uses. You think about it like, oh yeah, I'll cut some circle templates, and that way I can either leave the edge of a wheel chrome and paint the inside, or paint the wheel, mask off the inside, and then paint the edge chrome. Also, what this is really good for is the situations where you need to, I'm trying to see if I have anything handy nearby, where you need to like mask off the center hubs. You can make a negative mask where you cut out the center of it, and that way you can paint these silver and then put the mask on over top of here, and you just have the hub sticking through to paint it black. Gauge clusters, if you want to paint like you have your gauge cluster and you want to paint the edge of it chrome, you can just cut the donut hole for the middle of the gauge, paint the cluster chrome. Anything you need a circle for. I realize it's getting redundant to list things that are in a circle, but it's not just like, oh, trim rings on a wheel. Yeah, that's what I use this for. This really does have a great deal of uses when you really sit down and start thinking about all the various things that you mask off circles, and you're like, God, that's kind of annoying. Why do I have to, this is really, really handy. I've already tested it out. It works fantastic. You can cut like holes as big as this around. So this would be like a negative mask for a really, really big wheel hub, or a negative mask for painting the center of a wheel, and as tiny as this little 1 millimeter hole. So it really, you could use this for like the top of a shift knob if you wanted to. If you wanted to make the top of the shift knob black, but the rest of it needs to be something else, you could do that with it too. So it's I've seen a lot of people get the center finder for this. Really, as long as you have a piece of tape big enough to cover the hole that you're going to cut with it, you really don't need to worry about needing to know where the center of the circle is. Use it a couple of times, you sort of figure out where it is and what kind of circle it's cutting. But yeah, very, very handy tool. This is like $50, but it's probably going to last literally forever. And again, it's one of those things that you really don't think you need until you start using it, and then you start realizing other things you could do with it in terms of all the things that are circular, and voila. So we won't belabor that point anymore, but yeah, circle cutter. A couple of bottles of paint I picked up at the Cleveland Model Show back in November. We really haven't done like a channel update, so you guys don't know anything about like my show season or the fact that I built a model or anything else like that. But we went to we went to 4 shows this year, not counting Nats in Omaha. So the last show of this year was in the first week of November up in Cleveland. The IPMS show, just literally called the Cleveland Model Show. Model Car World was up there because they're in Massillon, Ohio, which is down by Canton. Although I hear they're moving back to North Carolina. But be that as it may, we picked up this color here, which is Olds Engine Blue Metallic 73 to 77. This is also the same color Olds Engine Blue you need for the 71 Olds 442, which is why we picked this up. Also, I have all of those other Oldsmobile kits laying around. I know this isn't the right color for every single Oldsmobile, but I think it's the right color for several of the ones that I have. And then I also picked up this. That's an enamel paint. This is a lacquer. This is Fathom Blue Metallic. Probably should have shook it up off screen. And it's a real nice dark metallic blue. Found out that this is not a 71 442 color. It is a 1970 442 color. Well, you know what? I don't like the 71 442 blue. It's very, very light blue. So screw it. Custom order paint. That's what we're going to call it. And yeah, I like this dark blue way better than the sort of powdery light blue that they use in 71. So be it as it may, it is what it is. From Splash Paint, we picked up 2 bottles. Get these shooken up. And they are Boulder Gray. This is a factory Nissan Z, 2023 Nissan Z color. This will be what I paint mine in. Both for a group build subject as well as just the fact that I want to build the kit. It's a 50 Shades of Gray group build, so it's anything you want to build that's gray. So we're going to paint it gray. I also like this color because it is one of 3 colors that you can use the US option blue interior color code to. So we're going to do that. And then we also, for the Dodge Charger, the 2022, 21, 23, whatever year it's supposed to be Dodge Charger that AMT is going to put out a little bit later in January, we picked up Hellraisin, which is a real dark purple, or maybe even dark violet, depending on how you want to look at it. But yeah, that'll be our Dodge Charger color when that kit eventually comes out. And then sort of the last thing we picked up in paint are these Fire Scale paints, which are made in Portugal. And they are the color match paints for those Ford Sierra kits that we showed you last video. And let me get these sort of shook up for you. So I got the dark blue that you have for the Autoglass Mobile 1 color. That's all the bumpers and the lower body color. So we got that. And then these are basically 2 of the 3 colors you need for the Q Oil one. It's the dark blue that you see on here, and as well as the beige. These are showing us pretty yellow, but in real life they're beige. The beige lower part of that. So we have the paints for those when we decide to eventually get around to that project. And ordered those from D-Model Kits. Also from D-Model Kits, I picked up the first set of decals for the new Ford Sierra. This is by Renaissance. And this is the 1991 Czech Rally in 1991. I'm not sure where this other one is. I should have looked that up. I think it is French. But anyway, this is the Bastos livery. So, you know me, I'm always good for a nice, fun tobacco livery. And you get the option to build one or the other. So this is the winning car from the Czech Rally. This is the winning car from this French Rally. Basically, the only difference in it is the sort of lower half of this decal sheet. Let's flip this right side so you can see it. So basically, this dividing line right here, this top part is the Czech Rally. And then the bottom part, you have a different windshield header, some different associate sponsorships, obviously different number placards for the rally itself, and a couple of other things. But yes, this is a nice decal sheet. The gold is printed in an actual sort of metallic gold rather than it being a light brown, which sometimes what you get when you get a gold decal. Comes out not being really all that gold. Nice quality set of decals, at least it looks nice. And yeah, it's a different livery option available. There's probably going to be, I don't know, a dozen of these made, not all by Renaissance. Lau over LB Productions is doing a number of them, as well as MF Zone, which is another Czech decal manufacturer, aftermarket manufacturer. They're going to be doing a pile of them as well. So if you don't like the box art models, there will be many, many options available for that kit at some point in the future. Probably in the next 3 months or so, probably on the very outside edge of how long it'll take. And since we're talking about decals, let's take a look at some more decals. So we got shipments in from LB Productions as well as SK Decals. SK Decals, we got the last of the Audi A4 decals that they're going to be making, which is silly because the kit still isn't out. But be that as it may, these decals are. And first up, we got this sheet, which is a 2-in-1 sheet for the Oryx liveried Audi A4. This is the Australian Super Touring Championship 1996 championship car. This is the 1996 Ghia Race of Macau second place car. So decals include both. This is one sheet, as you'll see. They're both the same. And gives you the option to build one or the other. Normally, I wouldn't sort of go off on a tangent about other series, but being that it's a championship car, I did order two so that I can build one of each. It's always funny. One of each. Yeah, right. Anyway, you build both team cars out of the Australian one, and you get just the one out of the Ghia Race of Macau. So there's that. And then also in a 2-in-1 sheet, although it doesn't show the thing on the back here, is this, I don't know if this is Jever. It's German, so it could be pronounced in a way that is completely and totally different from the way I'm attempting to pronounce it. But this is the 1999, what is known as the Super Touring Wagon, STW. If you've seen that abbreviation, it's right here on the number placard. This builds a couple of different versions of the Team AZK Phoenix car for the German Touring Series. STW was what followed up DTM for a short period of time until DTM came back in the 2000s. This car was also ran as far as it was an independently fielded car at the time, but this also includes the decals to do the 1999 Ghia Race of Macau. And this is the winning car for the Ghia Race of Macau. It's a very cool decal sheet. Obviously, all of the red and white that you see back here is on the decal sheet. So all you got to do is figure out what shade of green this is and paint it green, and it'll do everything else. You build either one of the STW cars or either one of the Macau cars. Again, it's the winning car, so yeah, that'll be my choice. But you got the TV Spiel film on here, and other, there's a classic German DTM car livery from the Alfa Romeo 155s that ran. So that's cool. And then we picked up this sheet here, which is the 1996 South African Touring Car Championship, the Rothmans livery. And like I said, give me a cigarette livery any day of the week. This does come with some masks included. They're actually back here behind here, but there's a sort of a small version of the masks to show you that basically you mask off these dividing lines around the blue, and then voila, as it were. So that's a nice feature of these decal sheets. And yeah, it's a pretty basic decal sheet beyond that. But this is the championship winning car as well as a team car to the South African Touring Car Championship. In 1996, the Audi A4 won 6 national championships. So you have options. Last one from the folks over at SK is the 1997 RAC, Royal Auto Club Tourist Trophy. This was sort of a special, I think it was a one-off race, I believe it's a one-off race, held during the British Touring Car Championship Series. This is the Red Bull Yokohama-sponsored car. I believe this finished 9th or 10th overall, so it wasn't the winning car, but it's a cool livery nonetheless. Frankie gives you all of the blue and red striping for it, so you just have to paint the car yellow, and the decals will cover all the rest of the livery for you, which is always a nice touch. You build both team cars. Like I said, one of them is a really big also ran, and the other one with Christian Abt was a top 10 finisher in that race. So those, my friends, are the SK decals. Over at LB Production, we got another sheet for the Bell Kits Citroen C3. This is the 2019 version of the car, still sponsored by Red Bull. And this is the Rally Turkey winner, or also your Tour de Course. I'm not sure where the Tour de Course car finished necessarily. I didn't look that up, but the Rally Turkey car is the one that won, which is why we bought one of these. We'll build the winning car. And much like the last Tour de Course, or the last Citroen Rally sheet that he did, this covers everything as far as the decals go. So you're good to go there. It does include all the Red Bull livery. It's all in here upside down. We don't talk about Bruno, so to speak, on that. It's there, but we don't talk about it. Another sheet he did for a rally car is for the Bell Kit, or the B-Max rather, or the Nunu technically. Peugeot 306 Evo 2. This is the 2022 Eiffel Rally Festival. Just a fun little one-off car that was run. This does include all of the black that is on this car, as far as painting it, and there's a red basket handle stripe that goes on here. So basically, the red stripe going across the hood. Everything is on here. You just got to paint it yellow, and I'm pretty sure he gives you the yellow color on the color call-out sheet on the back here. And what you need for this, and he happens to make it, so it's very convenient, is this set of wheels. This is a set of 18-inch speed lines for this specific sheet of decals. You can go on there and you can buy the wheels separately, but he does offer a package where you can, from the drop-down menu, put decals and wheels, and you get both at the same time. Includes 5 wheels with one with the center hubs drilled out like the spare and the real car is, and so that's a nice feature. And these are just drop fit. They're just the wheels. There's no tires in here, and these are 3D printed with the new 3D printer, which is much better than the first sets of 3D printed decals that are 3D printed wheels that he did for the 320i's. The original 320i's, 2001 versions. But yeah, these are all set with pegs on the back there to just drop fit right in and be ready to go. So that's very cool. And the new 3D printer that he has picked up last year, and this is a continuation of that, is a very, I don't know which one it is exactly, but it's a very high-end printer because there are no real visible striations in those wheels, which is great because one of the biggest issues I have with 3D printed parts are oftentimes they look like ass. So that certainly eliminates that problem. And the last thing we have here are a set of 4 Audi R8 Evo 2 decals. And these are for the Team WRT Audi R8s that ran in the 2022 GT World Challenge. You can, with most of these decal sheets, build the Sprint Cup, which is the short 3-hour race, the short, actually they're 90-minute races, 2 of them per weekend. The endurance races, which are at least 3 hours, and in some cases longer than that, and the 24 hours of Spa. And in often cases, the liveries are, while not significantly different between those 3, they are different within those 3. So there is basically one big decal sheet that you get with all of these, and then a smaller decal sheet which includes the specialty decals. So first up, you have the number 30 car. This is your McDonald's. This is sort of your Gulf oil colors, and sponsored a little bit by McDonald's on the endurance side. It's not the big McDonald's car here that has Mickey D's as a major sponsorship. But yeah, this is one of the neat things about this is the fact he gives you a very detailed painting guide to this, as far as what color you need to paint the car. It gives you the option to paint the back of the car black and then have the decals for just the blue, or he has the decals for all of the back black. So you could just paint the car one singular color and let the decals do all the work. It gives you as the builder the option of what you're going to do with that. And you can sort of see, although I really have to sort of take this apart for you to see it in its entirety, this big sheet of decals is underneath everything. You get this with every single one of these cars. So you got 31, 33, 30, and there's a 32 over here. And then these 2 decal sheets are the specific ones for this actual car. So there's that version. And then you have the number 31 car. And this only ran in the Endurance Cup and in the 24 Hours of Spa. So there's only basically 2 versions of this set of decals, and they're really not that different between the 2 of them. But this is a green and white car. This one with Hutchinson Telecommunications as your primary sponsor. And much like the last one, you get the decal sheet A, which is the primary thing. And then you get the specialty ones. And then you have the number 32 Skechers car, which is a red and white car. This one is also ran this way the whole way through GT Challenge. It did not have a specific livery change between Cup and Endurance. Also, the 24 Hours of Spa decals are in here. And what I mean by difference is, if you look at this, it literally has a Gulf Oil logo on the Sprint Cup, and it's a McDonald's logo on the Endurance. And you have a difference in these little side rocker decals. Just a couple of things here and there that are different between them. But yeah, that's the general gist there. And lastly, and this is probably the most popular one, both in terms of its colors and whatnot, but this is the Mickey D's Project 24 car. This is the blue and white one, and this gives you a Sprint Cup, a World Endurance Cup, and then a 24 Hours of Spa as well. And you can see on the Endurance Cup, it's not sponsored by McDonald's. It got the Lasarth Project 24 Hours of Le Mans livery type thing here. On here, the back spoiler is different. It's got an I'm loving it for the Sprint, and a different one for the back there. But yeah, these are pretty cool. Pretty cool. And since they're Evo 2s, then that's not something that actually comes with the kit, because the kit's just an Evo. You need, oh, and hey, he makes these, an Evo 2 rear wing assembly. This is really the only difference between the two cars. There are some differences with the Endurance headlights compared to the headlights that were included in the new kit. They're slightly different, but the wing being a gooseneck reversed spoiler compared to the regular gooseneck spoiler that they have been using. This might be a swan neck at this point. You need this spoiler specifically to convert it into the current car that's been used in 21-22. And it'll also be used this year in 23. This is very nice because it is in its entirety resin. This is 3D printed, so it's not cast. So you get these nice, very, very thin supports, and your winglets are already cast onto the edge of the wing, so you don't have to glue them on. Zoom-On makes a version of this, but the pedestals are photo etched, the winglets are photo etched, and then the actual centerpiece of the thing is cast resin. I gotta say, just putting one of these things together, it fits together great. You know, it's one of the biggest problems with PE winglets, to me personally. You can have an argument about this if you want to, but to me personally, is the fact that trying to glue these little tiny ass pieces of photo etch onto what is usually the plastic wing that comes in the kit. Usually you don't get a replacement wing, you just get the winglets. And then trying to all get it to prop up on what are very, very tiny little shards of metal is a very, very weak ass way to put a rear spoiler together. It's going to fall apart. It's going to break apart in transit. It's just not a big fan of it. Most of the time when I'm given the option to build a resin or build a PE rear wing, I don't actually do that. I just use the kit parts, because the scale fidelity of these winglets being like in scale thin is really not worth all the effort of trying to again glue a piece that doesn't actually, that you usually, you know, it usually does, it's not drilled out, it's usually not, you know, concaved or anything to fit. It just sort of hangs out there. You have to try to, you know, paint it all up and then glue it on, because a lot of times your spoiler and your winglets are different colors. You know, you're going to try to glue it on afterwards and hope it doesn't fall apart. You know, you're using canopy glue a lot of times for that, so your winglets are going to fall off. Your wing is going to fall off of the stand. It's just, wings fall off of race cars as it is enough when they're plastic and glued on the right way. When you start adding funky things in, it gets even worse. Like I said, all resin. Don't have to worry about it. It's very sturdy, 3D print. Very, very happy to have those as an option that I will be, in my case, using for all of my Evo 2 sets that I'll be doing. A couple of decal sheets, since I'm on decals. The guys over at Power Slide have done a set of carbon fiber decal sheets for the... Trying to figure out, I ordered 2 of these. I don't know if these are stuck together. Or they're... Oh, I think they're doubled up in here. They put both of them in the one... in the one bag. Anyway, they made carbon fiber decal sheets for the Salvino's Camaro. So basically, carbon fiber is the whole bottom of the floor pan, as well as the seat, the top of the diffuser, the top of the splitter, so the parts that you can see if you're not flipping the model kit over, all of the inner door bars, which is a little bit of a, okay, sure, whatever. But these are very nice. It's very, very thin. I'm trying to see if I can even get the show up. Very, very a nice thin weave to thin twill. You can see it there on these carbon fiber sheets. So nice. The door bars have their own carbon fiber pattern to them, so that's also nice in the sense that it's not just a universal. Let me see here. Yeah, they're both packaged in here in one. So let's see the bottom. See the bottom sheet here. Come on, get out. And then the other parts here, you have your side skirts, your air box, your spoiler, your duct tops to your underhood, your pedal riser box, all of the ductwork underneath the car and whatnot. So the other sheet, if I can do this, is this one, which is again the under tray area, the side skirts. And very nice. Very, very nice in the sense of a very fine twill weave. See, a lot of people go all crazy with their carbon fiber a lot of times. Not so much the decal manufacturers themselves, but other people who are, making their own templates and stuff like that, where it's like, I'm going to use this template, and it's going to be the biggest overscale carbon fiber because I want to be able to see the carbon fiber. And that's fine if that's your personal preference. But it's also not in scale. There's a reason why that carbon fiber that you're trying to use says 120 scale, because it's for F1 cars. It's not, you can see it, I will grant you, you'll certainly be able to see it, but it's going to be, again, to me, personally, a little overscale. Also picked up a couple of other decal sheets for the Camaro. This is Noah Gragson's patriotic scheme, because it has the soldier shout out here on the windshield header. The Charlotte Knights livery. So this car is black and white. It is for their minor league baseball team down there. Kind of a fun livery in general, but a really very nice decal sheet in general. All nice and metallic. I may never get around to building any of these Camaros, but these decal sheets are super duper spiffy, and I bought them just because they look great. I'm a sucker for decals if you haven't figured it out, and ones that really, really, really look nice. Also, very nice. This is Noah Gragson's Chevy, what they call the Chevy accessories thing. I think this was his Kansas livery, and this is a matte black car, and then you put the decals on, paint it all matte black. I'm thinking there's another decal sheet. Yeah, there's the Gragson part down there. And again, just a very, very cool, nice looking decal sheet. They use Cartograph for all their stuff now, so yeah, very nice looking. And then this is the Onyx Homes Renew livery that Daniel Suarez ran at Sonoma. So this is a matte black car as well. So gloss black, put the decals on, matte coat the whole thing. And this has that really cool sort of Splinter Urban Camo livery to it. And again, the decals here are matte. You could, in theory, paint the car, a matte black and then put these decals on. They're already matte, so you don't have to worry about them being shiny. You do kind of want the red parts to be glossy, which means you just rather, paint it, mask it, and then remask it again to get all the red to be gloss. Could be more pain in the ass than it's really worth, but that is that sheet, and that's, again, pretty cool. And then Mike's, I was ordering stuff from Mike's. He had a sale going on, just he randomly does, where he's clearancing stuff out. And so I picked up the Rainier Racing Cale Yarborough Hardy's Pontiac Le Mans because it was like $20, and these are normally $40 model kits, so Hey, it's not quite free, but it's not as expensive as it normally should be. Last thing in kits here, we'll take a look at most recent HobbyLink Japan intake here. This kit actually came out a little while ago, but I didn't pay enough attention to it to realize it was a completely different kit than the one I already owned, so I had to go back and buy it. I had to. I had to, guys. And that is this, let's see, draw you out a little bit. There we go. The Toyota Corolla AE92 1991 JTC, Japanese touring car, a topless round, and your PE set that goes with it. This kit updates the car from 1989 spec to 1991 spec, and basically this top sprue here with the new bumpers, the rear spoiler, new brakes, new mirrors, new gas fillers, new wiper, new tie downs for your trunk, new rear view mirror. Basically it just updates the kit. The kit itself, you know, molded a nice black, but hey, the car is black anyway, so it all works out. Also, you get the new set of wheels included as well. These are not the same set of wheels that came in the original Minolta car, which were a 5-spoke, 4-spoke. These are a 7-spoke the whole way around. So that is that. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it because I know I could drone on forever about JTC stuff. A new toolkit from Hasegawa that has just been released at the end of last year is this, the 1991 Minolta Toyota Team Tom's Toyota 91 CV. If you're familiar at all with your Group C race cars from Toyota, you know that most of these cars ran as a Toyota something C, and then the CV was the native country version. The C ran in FIA WEC and usually the 24 Hours of Le Mans, 88C, 89C, 90C, so on. The 88C was done by Hasegawa. The 88CV, the in-country version, was done by Tamiya in the 1980s. This is a brand new toolkit. Takes after the 89 or the 90 and 91 CP Nissan kits in the way it's sort of constructed and broken down. Very nice that the wheel hubs themselves are chrome. That way you can paint the wheels themselves white for the thing. There are no masks for this kit though. You might say, why is that a big deal? Well, if we take a peek at the instruction sheet here, you see there's no blue on here. There's a tab down here, the blue tab down here. This is sort of giving you a color match to make your paint, right? You can match the paint to this decal swath. But the only part of this kit that actually has blue decal is this little semicircle here. Now let's go back out to the box and the real car. What that little semicircle is, and you probably can figure it out now by looking at it, is this little itty bitty little swath here that's on this. I don't know if this is technically, I guess, it would be the radiator intake, or maybe it's the outflow for. Yeah, it's the radiator intake rear engine car. Yeah, that's it. You have to paint the rest of this yourself, which wouldn't be that big of a deal. You could figure out the angles and stuff like that, but I really am not a big fan of the fact that this blue goes up onto the cockpit a little bit, and then it comes back down off of it again. That's going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt to make sure it's equilateral on both sides, right? And then parts of the spoiler are blue, parts of it are white, and it's just going to be something you got to take your time on. Let's just put it that way. In order to get it to all be nice and neat, as you can sort of see with this, if I can get it to focus on what I want it to focus on. Apparently I can't. Focus! But, you know, the guys who did the shot there, it's sort of locked into a, there we go. So it's locked into sort of a halfway manualized focus. There we go. Anyway, yeah, they've got it on here a little bit. So yeah, it's going to be a hoot to sort of get that to be right. But it is what it is, and we'll work with it. And then lastly, if you didn't figure it out by the talk of the paint, we have the new Tamiya Nissan Z. So in its yellow proto special edition, first editions, were this called Proto Zs. Yeah, we watched over at Scale Model Experiment. You know that Tester just built this in the Proto Z color. Also, they give you the colors for the Syrian blue. Cool color blue. but we're doing ours in gray. And that'll allow us to do the interior in what is known as C in here, which is the US spec, which is these LP22 is the matte black clear, so they're giving you LP6, which is pure blue, and the LP22 flat clear in a mixing ratio in a couple of different ways. There's a 1 thing of clear and 3 things of clear, so this will be a slightly matter blue than this will be. This will be a semi-gloss blue. This will be sort of a flatter blue. Gives you a little tonal variation through. I really like the blue interior option. This is a really nice looking kit. The biggest pain in the ass of this whole thing, pardon my French, is painting off this chassis, because it has to be that gray I showed you earlier, and then all of the stuff that you see in the darker black is semi-gloss black. The center part here is titanium for the exhaust shield. This part right here that this transmission mounts to is supposed to be flat black, and you just have like random thing, like the upper A arms here have to be flat aluminum, and it's just a lot of itty bitty little I think Jim said he had like 6 hours of masking into this, and he painted it sort of inverse. He painted the whole thing black and then painted it gray back over instead of painting it gray and masking off for the black. But to each their own on that. There's a lot of masking in this kit. A lot of things have to be more than one color. Even in the interior here, black and gray and black, and it'll be a hootenanny. But this is going to be one of the things we work on real fast here in the beginning of the year. So not too much to complain about there, really. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys on the other side.